morning, good afternoon, good evening, maybe good night, depending on where you are connecting us from. It's a great pleasure to be with you on another webinar that we've been conducting since 2020, close to 100 completed so far. And these GSU-CIBER webinars are offered by the GSU-CIBER, but on behalf of the MSI Cyber Consortium, representing 10 cybers in total. And in this particular webinar today, we also have a co-sponsor, which is Global Atlanta, and we'll be having its managing editor as our moderator today. So welcome to those of you who have joined our webinars for the very first time, and welcome back to the others who have been with us previously. Now, our webinars focus on teaching or research or conversations with business executives. Well, today's webinar is about talking with a business executive on his exciting journey of exporting, how he started up and how he's moving on. Just a couple of basic issues. All our webinars are recorded and they would be available after a brief editing delay at the GSU-CIBER website as well as our YouTube channel. Secondly, when the webinar ends, you will be receiving an email asking for a brief feedback survey with just 5 questions. So it won't take much of your time, and we would highly appreciate if you would respond and give us feedback and also share ideas for future webinars. During the webinar, everyone except the panelists are muted, but we do encourage you to ask questions or share your comments. You can use the Q&A button at the bottom of the screen to ask your questions, which will be responded in due order. If you have any queries for the staff running the show, obviously you can use the chat button to do that. And with this, today's topic is an entrepreneurial vision for export success. So 4 keywords: entrepreneurial, vision, export, and success. So it's a great combination, and we will have a great executive whose story will inspire all of us, that we will be able to leave the webinar with some key takeaways. The webinar will be moderated by Trevor Williams, as I said, from Global Atlanta, and our guest executive today is the award winner, Best Exporter of the Year, Felipe Arroyave from Spectrum. And with that, the duration of the webinar will be about 60 minutes. So as we're coming to the closure, obviously, we will be happy to see your questions, comments, and reflections on these. So with that, without taking much of more airtime, I would like to leave the word to Trevor and for him to introduce our executive guest today, Felipe. Trevor, we're with you.
Thank you so much, Junaid. It's great to be back in the cyber webinar hot seat today. I've really enjoyed our partnership over the years and glad to be back bringing international business insights to your great audience from all over the world. And looks like we still have some people joining. So love to have everybody along. As you mentioned, we're glad to take questions. As far as I understand it, we're not going to do kind of a Q&A session at the end. We're going to actually be taking questions progressively through the chat. So if Felipe says something or if I say something, surprisingly, that sparks your interest, please go ahead and drop those questions in the chat, and Junaid will kind of moderate those for us as we go along. But without further ado, we will start with our introduction of Felipe Arroyave. Felipe is the president of Spectrum International, based here in Atlanta, Georgia. He has more than 20 years of experience in the specialized contact lens industry. And Spectrum sells and markets contact lenses to more than 60 countries around the world. So obviously has broad exposure. Felipe is just back from a trip to Asia, so hopefully he's over his jet lag or close to it. Spectrum has this very broad portfolio in the market. And Felipe immigrated from Colombia at the age of 17 to here in Metro Atlanta, graduated from Gwinnett College, worked his way up to vice president of his former employer, and along the way gained a master's degree in international business from the University of Chicago. And as Junaid mentioned, Spectrum was named the U.S. Small Business Administration Exporter of the Year in 2024. So Felipe's got some deep insights to share with us. I'm not going to talk too much longer. I'm going to have Felipe explain a bit more about Spectrum and what they do. So maybe by way of introduction, Felipe, and we'll talk about your personal journey as well, but why don't you tell us about specialty contact lenses in general without don't give us the same lecture you gave the students in Hong Kong, but tell us a bit about why you got into what you do, how specialty contact lenses are different from the traditional ones that many of us are aware of, and how you help educate the world on that front.
Great. So thank you so much for listening to us today. I want to thank the Georgia State University and, of course, Go Global for this amazing invitation. So we basically manufacture and distribute contact lenses, specialty contact lenses, to around 68 countries around the world. Specialty contact lenses are not your regular soft disposable contact lenses for myopia, hyperopia, astigmatism. We concentrate on really sick eyes, people that have not been able to see for many years, kids that have extreme genetic problems, people with Steve Johnson's diseases. And those specialty contact lenses are custom made. So we make every single one of our contact lenses is designed and manufactured for each individual eye. So they're crafted for every single person. So one person cannot wear the contact lenses from another person. So they're extremely high, precise contact lenses that literally change the lives of multiple patients around the world.
Amazing. And as far as I remember from our previous interview, we wrote a story about you a while back. And you went from the factory floor all the way to becoming a vice president at your former company. Can you tell us a little bit about your personal journey, your personal career journey? I mean, maybe the abridged version, but you were, to belabor the pun a little bit, you had the vision for exporting within the existing company that you worked for that maybe wasn't shared or wasn't obvious to the leadership in that company. So talk about how you seized that opportunity.
Correct. So my journey to the United States was not a pleasant one. I'm a refugee in the United States, and in 1999, my two of my uncles got killed by the Colombian guerrillas. Then my father was kidnapped for about 6 months, and then I had to flee Colombia and move to the United States. I started going to school to Gwinnett University. Now it's owned by Georgia State University. So I'm basically an alumni of Georgia State University.
Oh, nice.
So this is great. So moved to the United States. I move alone. My parents remain being in Colombia because I had a small brother that could not flee the country. So it was not very pleasant. I was alone, but I was safe. And thanks to the United States, I became a political refugee. And I was able to work and I was able to go to school. During this time, I held multiple jobs. I was a bartender. I parked cars. I clean apartments. I did everything that an immigrant from another country will do in a fairly new country. So moved to the United States, started working multiple jobs, and then I saw a position at a contact lens company in Duluth, Georgia, by the name of Excel Specialty Contact Lenses. I started working in the lab, and I started seeing all this amazing technology that they had. I started doing some research because I was always interested in exporting any type of product from the United States to my country or to Latin America. So I started doing research on what we could do with this company in the United States to sell those lenses to international markets. And basically what I found out is that technology back in the late 90s was not available in majority of the Latin American countries because they were emerging economies and they did not have the proper equipment to manufacture those specialty contact lenses. Because the equipment usually costs between $2 million to $2.5 million. So for emerging economies to have lathes and robotics and all these instruments and equipment that was needed to manufacture specialty contact lenses was not a current reality. So I approached the president, Mr. Mark Parker, and I said, listen, you have an amazing technology that I think will work great in international markets. And of course, he patted me in the back and said, hey, listen, you're part of the lab. Just keep working in the lab. I don't know what you're doing talking to me right now.
And I think you mentioned you had like flecks of plastic in your hair when you were.
Yeah. So I used to go to school with a lot of polymers and plastic all over my hair because I was manufacturing contact lenses with goggles, and I mean, and the plastic will be in my hair and will be all over my face. So I just kept bugging him and just asking him for an opportunity. And I think the guy was so fed up and so tired of me coming to him every single time asking him for an opportunity that finally he sat down with me and he gave me, I think it was 15 to 20 minutes, and he said, "What is your plan? Do you have a business plan?" And of course, at this time, I was going to school, so I had a business plan, and I said, "Listen, there is a Congress in Puerto Rico. It costs about $2,000 or less than $2,000. I am willing to bet that we're going to do great in this Congress in Puerto Rico. Just finance me and allow me to go represent the company in this optometry Congress in the Caribbean island of Puerto Rico. It's part of the United States. We don't have to do any registrations. It's easy to pay. I mean, it's considered part of the United States. We don't have to do customs and
Yeah.
created the business plan. The guy gave me the opportunity, and I said, I'm willing to bet my salary. And at this time, I think I was making $1,200 every 2 weeks, or less. I mean, I don't remember. It's just a long time ago, but I was not making that much money. And I was willing to bet my salary on this opportunity that the company had. So he allowed me to go to Puerto Rico. We went there and we got so many new accounts. I think during the first year, we sold $180,000 just in Puerto Rico alone.
Wow.
So he realized that there was a huge opportunity on international markets. And then once we started selling, I just started climbing the corporate ladder. And to make the story short, I became one of the directors, and then I was managing all the international business. And in 2017, when I left the company, we were selling over $3.5 million overseas.
Amazing. Yeah, and I love that you bring all that in, because I think we're talking to people who educate students about international business, and I think inculcating that sort of entrepreneurial spirit, finding those seams or niches that other people may not see, is very important to instill in the students. So, why do you think that your employer didn't see the potential? Why did it take somebody in the lab to bring it to his attention? I mean, I think we report about a lot of American companies that generally are just not that intent on exploring international opportunities.
And that was the case many years ago. I mean, multiple companies in the U.S. We have such a vast market in the United States. We have over 350 million people in the U.S. that can purchase products. So for majority of the U.S. companies, the markets they're always concentrating on are North America, United States, Canada. And my father figure, this guy, Mark Parker, he became almost a father to me, because he saw that I was alone, that my father had been kidnapped, that I had no one in the United States. And he saw this spark in me and this drive to take the company to multiple places, that he literally became a father figure to me. So he retired in 2016, and they brought a new CEO from Kimberly-Clark, and he did not understand the contact lens market as a whole. And I think he wanted concentration fully on domestic market, because the domestic market was hurting at that time. There were multiple players coming into the United States, and there were several manufacturing facilities now in the US. There were over 25 labs manufacturing specialty products in the US. So his concentration was just to push forward in the
market share.
States. Yeah, and at this time, I was already selling specialty contact lenses in over 40 markets, $3.5 million in sales. I had a thriving market. We were growing at double digits every single year. And I was a bilingual person. So for me to work in Alabama or Georgia or Tennessee was not an option. And at this time, I already had my master's degree in international business. So I decided to leave the company and start my own company. I said if I could do it for someone else, and if I were able to create a thriving market for an American company, I think I can do it myself. And so in 2017, I started my own company, Spectrum International.
So what were the big differences working for a company that had all the infrastructure and branching out onto your own?
It was hard. So I was working out of my living room. So I had every single one of our contracts for vendors and customers piled in my kitchen. It was just a one-man show. So what I did, and I'm sorry, but I have to be honest. So what I did is I created multiple emails. So I created a finance email, create an accounting email, I'll create a director email, and it was all managed by me, but
Yeah.
with different names.
The
So
departments, you had
yeah,
departments
so
of
I started
yourself.
creating different departments, but it was me. It was me collecting. It was me shipping the product. It was me doing the marketing. It was me selling the product. It was me educating the
Wow.
actual customers on products that we could sell overseas. So what I did, Trevor, was I partnered up with multiple. Remember, 25 labs were now available in the United States. So I presented this business plan to them, and I said, "Listen, you only sell in the United States." And I did the same spill and the same story that I did in 1999 to the former president Mark Parker, and I did the same thing. Give me the opportunity, give me your products. I think we can do great overseas. And I started with 3 vendors, 3 manufacturing labs that believed in the story, and that's how we started the business. Now we have over 30 labs that manufacture contact lenses for us. Some of them we distribute their lenses, and some of them we use as OEM. We design the lenses. We have designers. We have contact lens engineers that will design the lenses, and we will OEM multiple labs in the United States to manufacture the lenses for us.
What were the big objections that you heard for those that didn't take up the international market, and what did you tell people about how you would handle compliance issues and things like that? Like what are the biggest headwinds when you're
So
talking
that
about
was
taking a
one
product
of the main,
internationally?
yeah, that was one of the main rejections that I always got is how are you going to keep our company safe? Because these are medical devices. And for example, Latin America it consists of independent republics. So every single time that we go to Argentina or Chile or Peru or Bolivia or Ecuador or Colombia, we have to register the medical device with their local FDA. So that was the main concern multiple companies had is how you're going to keep these medical devices that need to be regulated by the local FDA. How are you going to keep compliant of the laws and regulations, the local laws and regulations in those particular countries? And what I will always tell them is that I have been doing this for 17 years. I had a track record of success landing those products internationally. And I had the expertise and the know-how on how to register each particular product. So that was one of the hurdles. The second hurdle that we had was how are you going to pay us? Because for those that are listening and for those that currently are exporters, the payment structure or the payment ethics of a lot of the Latin American markets or Asian markets or even Middle East markets are not the same payment ethics as North America. So it was really hard at first because I had to pay the vendors or the labs that we were contract manufacturing for. We had to pay them in a 30-day net. And our customers will take 120, 150, 160 days to pay us back.
Wow.
It was really hard. So I had to ask for loans, had to sell my car and I had to sell my condo and do a lot of things to invest in the company.
Just because the cash cycle was longer than you anticipated. And when you mean payment ethics, you're talking about just the length of time to payment, like they don't have the same kind of net 30 kind of as a standard. Is that
correct? And a lot of people, I mean, because when you cannot hold them accountable. So in the United States, you send someone to credit collections and you damage their credit. But what do you do internationally? I mean, there's no a credit agency that monitors international customers per se. So it's really hard, and it was really hard at first. So that's one of the main concerns that multiple labs had, but they were seeing our payments on time. They were seeing that we were always compliant with their local laws and regulations or medical devices. So they saw most of them, they don't have an international department. They don't have Spanish consultants. They don't have Spanish customer service reps. They don't have a finance department that can actually collect and bill and charge Latin American countries. So what they will find from us is the one-stop shop. They will send the product to our office in Atlanta, and they don't have to worry about anything else. I mean, we will travel the world on their behalf. We will collect, we would educate, we will train, and we would position their products internationally. And as soon as they started seeing results and they started seeing growth, is when they open their eyes and say, "Hey, this is a great structure." And now, like I said, we have multiple labs that have trusted this business.
Were they worried about intellectual property as well, like the lenses being reverse engineered or anything like that, or was that not a concern at that point?
No, because specialty contact lenses are really crafted and unique contact lenses. So reverse engineer on this is not an option.
Okay.
And the contracts that we have are very strong contracts. If we use their products, the trademarks have to be protected. Every single time that we launch a product or we do any type of marketing, it had to be approved by them. So, and we always kept everything very kosher, very safe for them and their structures.
Yeah. And I think we've got a couple questions coming in. Y'all keep putting your questions in the Q&A prompt as well, but I think Junaid might want to answer the first one or bring the first one to our attention pretty soon, but I'll ask one more quick thing and then Junaid, you can interject. So what resources, I mean, you got the SBA X Order of the Year. What resources kind of helped you bridge that gap in the early days of having to finance these international sales?
Yeah, so I've worked a lot with the Exim Bank. That's a great resource that we have in the United States. For those that are domestic people listening to this conversation, the United States is a great country to work with. We have the SBA, we have the local chambers of commerce, we have the SBDC, and all those federal government agencies are always helping small businesses, and they're always helping exporters. One of the things that the United States protects a lot is exporters, because we want to have less imports and more exports, right? Because they generate more revenue for the country, they generate jobs, and basically is the backbone of our economy. So there are multiple programs that exporters can piggyback and use as far as resources in the United States.
Junaid, you want to bring in some questions?
Yes, I do. I do want to intervene. Well, the first question, I guess, is in regards to your selection of markets. You're exporting to 60 and currently. And the question is, how do you know that an entire country's economy does not have a certain product, that there is an opportunity there? How do you go through that process?
So majority of the Latin American markets, or majority of the, up until now, majority of the countries that we export to see American products as technology, safety, and quality. Why? Because we pride ourselves as Americans to manufacture really good products, especially medical devices. So we're in the forefront of technology. United States has always been in the forefront of technology. So majority of the countries that we sell contact lenses in don't have the resources or the equipment or the instruments to manufacture these lenses. Now, there are more and more technologies available in some of the emerging economies, in some of the markets that we export. So we do compete with local labs that manufacture the same product, but delivery time is less than exporting products, right? So for example, countries such as Peru, Argentina, Chile, Colombia, now they have the equipment and the instruments to manufacture specialty contact lenses. And they can deliver those lenses to the hospitals, the doctors, the eye specialists in 24 to 48 hours, whereas it takes us a month or 45 days for our products to reach the final customer. But the flag, the US flag, is still a very important aspect when we export products. That is almost like a seal of quality and assurance that the product has been manufactured using the best quality standards. And to answer the question, how do we approach markets? We do a lot of research. We travel a lot. I travel anywhere between 200 to 275 days out of the year. We go to every trade show. We go to every single optometry and ophthalmology meeting. Since I've been in the contact lens industry for 25 years of my life now, I've gotten the experience to be able to talk to doctors and to get podium time in majority of the conferences. So what we do is we create scientific content on local eye problems or local patients that can be treated with foreign technology from the United States. So for example, in 2050, 50% of the population in the world is going to be myopic. So they're going to have myopia. So that is, I mean, the numbers are huge. So what we're doing right now is we're going to all the ophthalmology and optometry congresses, and we're educating the doctors, the visual specialists, on how to prevent or try to treat myopia as a medical problem and not just as a refractive issue. Because before, doctors overseas will just give patients glasses and tell them to go home and wear the glasses. So a kid that was 9 years old, he will wear glasses or contact lenses for majority of his life up until he turned 21, where he will have LASIK. But now, with the US-made technology or the European-made technology that we have available, we can actually diminish the amount of myopia that the kid is going to have by the age of 21. So that's what we do. We educate, and we go to every single congress and optometry event, and we educate the local doctors on how to prevent or how to cure the multiple eye problems that they have locally. And then, of course, after that, we meet with interested distributors and hospitals and people that will want to buy the products after hearing our conferences.
Right. Thank you. I want to follow up, Trevor, with another
Sure.
question, or combining two questions actually from Luisa and Venkat. It's in regards to your export markets by name. The attendees are asking whether you'd be interested, whether you're exporting to Brazil, Australia, or India. These three countries are specifically asked for. They've checked your website and they say they were only able to see that you got a branch in the US, Mexico, and Colombia.
Correct. So we have now 4 branches. We just opened a new office in Madrid, in Europe. We do export to India. We don't export to Brazil. In Brazil, the local FDA is called Invisa, and it's extremely hard to get medical products into Brazil. You have to do a 5-year study on the medical device that you want to bring into Brazil. And please take into consideration that we have over 351 products. Each product will cost an American company between $20,000 to $35,000 per registration. If you have 351 products, it's impossible to reach Brazil. Brazil is a very protectionary market.
Yeah.
So they protect their local companies, and they are multiple manufacturing labs that create and manufacture specialty contact lenses inside of Brazil. Some of them are in Sao Paulo, some of them are in Rio. So they're very protectionist, and especially tariffs. Some of the tariffs that Brazil has imposed in the United States are 60% or more on imported products and goods from the United States. So it's very hard for us to enter the Brazilian market. Same thing with Australia. Australia is a thriving economy, is not an emerging country. I mean, they're a part with the United States or Europe. So they do have several manufacturing facilities in Australia, in Perth, in Sydney, that can manufacture our special products. So it's very hard for us to compete with them.
Right.
Okay. Back to you, Trevor. I'll ask
Yeah, sure.
a couple other.
Yeah, I mean, we talked a little bit about, I was going to ask about like push and pull factors in terms of picking markets, but you sort of addressed that. So I wanted to keep it moving. I think with what you've been saying about the challenges of getting into exporting, I wondered if you would encourage companies, especially small businesses, to get involved in exporting. And what if so, what are some of the pitfalls to look out for? And can you help us to like set our fears correctly? I think sometimes American companies in particular, this is what I know, tend to shy away from it because it's the unknown, right? And like you said earlier, they do have large markets in the U.S., and so the perceived threat of something going wrong is often greater than the perceived benefit of trying out something new or finding a new market. So how do you encourage people when you're asked about that?
So I'm a true exporter. So we don't sell anything inside of the United States. 100% of our products are exported. So for me to tell you not to export, it will be going against my religion. I love exporting. It's not easy. It's not easy. You have to be compliant with laws and regulations of every single country. Their taxes, their tariffs. There are things that you need to understand on how to do them properly. A lot of customers will ask you to reduce the pro forma invoice when you're exporting products in order for them to avoid paying taxes locally. And that is something that is completely illegal, and that is something that people need to be away from, because it's just, I mean, there are multiple government agencies that regulate exporters. One of them is Census. The other one is BSI, which is the Bureau of Security Industries. So we always have to be present in classes, taking a lot of information, always keeping up with the trade regulations. The United States has a lot of resources, like the trade.gov department has a lot of resources for exporters. They have webinars, they have classes. Georgia State University has a great exporting program for students as well. I mean, they visit companies, and they have webinars such as this one that can help educate and navigate some of the issues that exporters have. So yes, please export. That's a great
So
business.
there are resources available, in
There
other
are
words.
resources available, yes.
But what does it look like from a staffing perspective? Like, you've gone from your, garage and kitchen table to how many employees now?
30.
Okay, so, does having a globally oriented company appeal to particularly new graduates of diverse backgrounds? And then, how have you staffed up for these particular issues that crop up when it comes to exporting?
The most important part is hiring someone. So if you're a small business, I'm pretty sure you're going to start just by yourself, or someone else, or maybe 2 or 3 people. But it's very important to get a director of operations that can guide you, and that has the knowledge and expertise and know-how on how to import, export, and how to be compliant with local laws and regulations. So we have an export department, and I'm very happy that our exporting ladies are very knowledgeable on export laws, regulation, tariffs, harmonized codes, and things like that. So staffing is really important. You cannot do it yourself. I mean, if you want to become a larger company, you have to staff, and you have to hire the right people.
Was that hard for you personally
Oh my God.
to get to the point where you were letting go of the control?
Yes, of course, it was hard at first, but then after I started seeing that they were better than me, and they had a lot of expertise and knowledge, you start letting go. I was at the SBDC conference in I think it was October or November in Atlanta, and the SBDC, which is a great government agency that helps exporters and small businesses.
Small Business Development Center, for those who don't
Small
know.
Business Development Center. Sorry, I'm using
Yeah.
acronyms. So they were saying that exporters need to fly like a helicopter, and not in a straight way, like airplanes have to fly like a helicopter. You need to be able to move and maneuver around in a very perfect environment of safety and regulation. So staffing is very important, and getting the right people to drive your bus is extremely important. One of the main things that we have had as issues are, we get the staff, they're fully trained, they've been working with us for 2 or 3 years, and then they get another job, they get another offer.
Yeah.
Keeping people in the companies is really hard, but so that's why we pay good salaries, and we have a very good structure of a relaxed company that they can enjoy and thrive within the company.
Yeah, yeah. You become the farm team for all the bigger players to poach your players from
Trevor,
you. Yes.
if I may intervene, just a quick question on your
Sure.
industry going forward. The question is, Venkat says laser correction for eyes is fast improving. In that context, what's the future of contact lens?
That's a great question. So think about this. People cannot have LASIK surgery up until they're 21 years old. So majority of your kids or majority of the people that you see in your family reunions, they're wearing glasses, and they're usually smaller kids, 9 years old, 10, 11, 12, 14, teenagers. So up until the age of 21, no one can have LASIK. And if they do, I mean, there's a high risk of having issues because the eye doesn't stop growing or developing until they're 21 years old. So and after that, you know, if they after have LASIK, that's when we come in with specialty contact lenses. There are multiple problems with LASIK surgeries. They're safe, they're great, they work, but in 10% of the cases, which is a lot, people will still have to wear contact lenses, and they cannot wear just a regular contact lens anymore. They have to wear specialty contact lenses because the way laser works is they basically cut a portion of your eye with a laser. The central portion of your cornea is flatter after LASIK. So if you were to just use a regular contact lens on that surface, that lens is going to move. You're going to feel uncomfortable. You're not going to have great vision. So we have specialty contact lenses for post-LASIK patients that have not been able to achieve 20/20 vision.
Interesting. Junaid, you gonna keep going, or you want me to
Yeah,
jump
I
in?
can go. I can go on. I mean,
Okay.
questions are pouring in, Felipe. I mean, in
Yeah,
addition,
keep them coming. That's what I'm here for.
one of them is Luisa is asking if you're leveraging any AI tools to help you expand your business. Are you utilizing any artificial intelligence related?
So not at the moment. Not at the moment. That is something that I really want to tap into. I think AI is the future of all businesses. Right now, we're not using it as we should, and I think that's something that we need to start applying. How to get new markets, or maybe asking AI which markets have more any type of eye problem, or what are the latest statistics or studies in a particular country. For example, Azerbaijan or Kazakhstan, or countries where we have not been able to enter. I think AI is going to play a very important part, but at the moment we're not using AI.
What about, let me follow it with another resource question from Mohammed. He's asking for your suggestions of any online resources that you might recommend when it comes to getting a general idea of the different pastel aspects of target export countries and potential emerging markets. So what kinds of resources
So
would you
the
recommend?
SBDC has a lot of resources online.
SPDC?
Yes. The SBDC, I don't know what the website is. Maybe Trevor can help me there. Maybe it's
Yeah, we can find them.
sbdc.gov or something like that, but they have multiple online resources. Also, Census in the United States has multiple resources as well to help exporters. And also, if you're in the United States, please contact your SBA, the Small Business Administration. They have multiple programs. For example, Go Global in Georgia is a program that is founded through the SBA, and Go Global will help you partner up with potential customers in any country where they're present. So, for example, 2 years ago, we went to the Arab Health Show along with Go Global, and we shared their booth space. So every single time that a customer will approach Go Global, which is an exporting agency for Georgia-based companies such as myself, they will introduce us to those customers. For example, if there was a doctor or a medical hospital, they will introduce us to each other, and they will help navigate and help the connection between those two companies. So there are multiple resources: the SBA, the SBDC, and Go Global, and just type in resources just type in Google. That's what I did. That's how I found the SBA, and that's how I found the SBDC. Type in export programs for US exporters, and then you can tap into the multiple programs that they have in the United States.
And on that account, thank you. That's very helpful, Felipe. On that account, since we also have some people that are not in the US that have joined the webinar and following us, a lot of countries have their own governmental resources, just like the SBDC or the trade.gov, the equivalents for their own countries. So that's a typical resource. And a general resource I might also add in is globaledge.com, which is a database updated currently. It's out of an academia, actually, but it's used by practice as well. So back to you, Trevor.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. And education is a point I wanted to bring across as well in this conversation. So it's a good segue into that. First, I wanted to ask you a quick question about logistics. I noticed you put a facility, I think it was in Medellin, in Colombia, and you just opened an office in Spain. So, like, what are the tipping points at which point you need fulfillment in a local market or a region of the world versus just fulfilling those orders from the U.S.?
Perfect. So majority of the products that we export are US made, right? So majority of the contact lenses that we sell abroad are made in the United States. And we use our Atlanta office to bring every single product that is made in the United States, and we export it from Atlanta. But then there are multiple instruments, equipment, saline solution, and things that are extremely large that we cannot bring into the United States because we pay tariffs and we pay taxes. For us, it's really hard to import it into the United States and then sell it abroad. So what we did is we created a very large warehouse in Colombia that is part of a free trade zone. So free trade zones are basically a no country warehouses where you can store and keep products for any given period of time. And then from there, you can actually split the pallet into smaller shipments, and then you can distribute them all over a specific area. So we have an office in Atlanta, Georgia for products that are US made. We have an office in Madrid, Spain for products that are made in Europe, because Europe is a different animal. Europe is part of the CE group.
Right.
So the quality assurance of Europe is the CE market. So every single medical device, every single product, every single technology product, any product needs to be CE marked, which is the agency that regulates that it can be sold to the European Union. So we have the office in Madrid for CE marked products that need to have the CE mark logo into the product. We have an office in Colombia for easy distribution and as a hub to distribute in Latin America. And we have the office in Atlanta, Georgia for the US made products. And we have an office in Mexico as well, because Mexico is a 130 million people market. So we needed to have a local representation in Mexico in order to bring the products from the United States, bring the products from Europe, and be able to serve the customers better in this market. So logistics
Mexico
is a very important part.
And Mexico has an FTA with Europe and with the US. So, well, for now anyway.
Let's not get into that.
Let's not get into that.
They had a free trade agreement that is in the verge of not being available anymore.
Yeah, so we don't have to get too far into that, but can you talk about education and maybe hit it from two angles? I know we've got about 7 minutes, so keep 7 to 10 minutes. So keep your response succinct if you can, because I want to ask you one more thing about tariffs to speak of things you might not want to talk about. But yeah, so you have the education of your employees, right? Like you have to onboard your team and kind of teach them about this industry that you've spent 20, 30 years learning about. So I want to know about that a little bit, but also I wanted to understand from you how you educate your customers and how that's become a competitive advantage for you. So I don't know if you wanted to take both of those or one, either way.
Yeah, so education for us is the pillar. And I think education cannot change the world, but people that are educated will. So education for us is a pillar of everything that we do. Like I said, you need to have the right person driving the bus. If the person that is in finance is not the best finance person, you need to get rid of that person. If the people that does your marketing is not the best marketing for your particular product, you don't need to have that person. So that's very, very important aspect, is to have the right people driving the bus. So education, like I said, is a pillar for us. We're always doing internal education for our customers, customer service reps. We're always educating them on new products, on new technologies, on what is available in the market. What are we bringing into the new markets? And the most important aspect for exports is the education that we give doctors. So what we do, Trevor, is the following. We have a campaign that is called Changing Lives. And what we do is that we provide free medical and contact lens care for patients overseas. So this is the way it works. Let's say that you're a patient in Peru. We put an ad on the newspaper, or we will tell doctors, optometrists, or ophthalmologists in Peru that we need 5 patients and that we'll provide them complete free medical care. Contact lenses, we will fit the products live in a conference in Peru. So we will travel to Peru. We will fit these 5 patients locally. They don't have to pay for a single thing. And our contact lenses are very expensive. For the final user, which is the patient, a patient can pay anywhere between $1,000 to $5,000 for both lenses.
Wow.
Because they're crafted, they're uniquely designed and manufactured. So we go to Peru, we bring those 5 patients. They don't have to pay a single penny for the medical care or treatment. And we bring them to the conference where we want to educate ophthalmologists or optometrists. And we tell them, listen, this is a patient from Peru. This is the medical case. The patient suffers from kerotoconus, which is a genetic disease in the eye. We have treated this patient using this contact lens from the United States. And then we put the patient in podium. The patient will prefer, oh my God, I have great vision. I can see my parents. I can have a normal life. They start crying. We start crying. The doctor starts crying. And so it's an amazing experience. And so the way we do these conferences is that we use local patients to teach doctors that this is not magic. They have the patients, we have the resources, we have the technology, let's partner up and let's change lives with little pieces of plastic. So what I usually say to the market is that we don't sell contact lenses. We create visual specialists. And that's our main philosophy.
Amazing. Yeah, I think we've got a couple questions coming in as well, Junaid.
Yes, thank you, Trevor. Well, question comes from Paula Herring. Given your story and mission that you described in the beginning, do you consider your company Spectrum to be a social entrepreneurship organization?
Of course. We between 20 to 25% of our yearly revenue is spent back into social programs, such as the one that I just described. We have a campaign, it's called Changing Lives. And if you go to Facebook or if you go to Instagram and you type in hashtag Changing Lives, you're going to see multiple of our campaigns, or you can see it on our website. And that's what we do is we provide free medical care and contact lenses to people that cannot afford those particular contact lenses.
Oh, that's impressive. That's impressive, Felipe. Venkat is asking whether you're considering or planning to establish manufacturing base in other countries, or will just continue to concentrate on exports with overseas offices.
So that's a great question. And I never considered having any manufacturing facilities outside of the United States. United States kept me safe. United States gave me a roof. United States gave me education. They provided me with a safe home because I was actually afraid of being killed in my country. So I always feel this gratitude, and I always feel that the United States has given me so much that I wanted to help the United States back, and I wanted to create a great structure for the United States and for the people inside of the United States, because we generate a lot of work and revenue for the US and for the people that work with us in the United States. So, but up until now, I never thought about opening up different manufacturing facilities overseas. But the current political situations, and we talked about this yesterday, Trevor, is that there is a lot of anti-American sentiment all over the world. Because of Gaza, because of Greenland, because of tariffs, and because of the current political situation that we are, as Americans, attacking other economies, and we have basically a war, a trade war with multiple countries. So in the future, I cannot answer it yes or no, but that's an avenue that we might have to explore later on the road.
Junaid, if I may, I wanted to kind of combine this next question with one of my own. So the next question was about, did you always know that you wanted to be an entrepreneur? What was the key moment or experience that helped you develop those skills? And I kind of wanted to combine that with, what do you look for in students that are coming out of universities that may be taking entry-level positions in your company?
So I always knew that I was a great salesman. I mean, or that I wanted to be a great salesman. And for those that think that you should not be a salesperson, every single person in the world needs to be a salesperson. I don't care if you're a painter. I don't care if you're a doctor. I don't care if you're an engineer, but you need to sell your work. So everybody in the world is in sales, because if you don't sell yourself, if you don't sell your services, if you don't sell your company, you're not going to generate revenue. You're not going to generate any capital, and you're not going to generate any accounts, right? So every single person, I don't care who you are, or what you do in business or in life, you need to be a salesperson. So I always found out that I was a salesperson since I was a kid. Always wanted to be a salesperson, and I think every CEO and every single president of any given company is a salesperson. So always knew that. I mean, when I think it was 8 or 9 years old, I found a cat, and I brought this cat to school. And what I did is I rented out this cat every single month. So people that wanted to have my little friends that wanted to have a cat, I would rent it out for a month, and I will collect the money every single month until, of course, the school found out, and they call my parents and say, "Listen, your son is renting cats for a living." So and I was selling candies. I would go to the United States with my father when I was a kid, or went to Canada with my father, and I will buy candies from the candy store in the United States, and I will sell it in school in Colombia, because the candies were not available. The same candies were not available in Colombia. So I always knew that I wanted to be a salesperson. And what was the other question?
Well, so yeah, the other question was, what do you look for in young people that are coming into your company? I mean, obviously, not every role is not what you just said. Notwithstanding, not every role emphasizes sales, and operations is quite different, obviously, from sales. So, what do you look for? Is there a way to kind of imbue that entrepreneurial spirit into young people during the educational experience?
You need to be a team player. If you're not a team player, you're not part of my team. That's exactly what I tell people. You can be the best. You can be the best accountant, finance. You can be the best marketing person, but if you cannot work as a team, you're not part of my team. We don't have. I don't run the business as a CEO. I run a business as a family, but a family that has oriented goals, just like a soccer team. If you're not the best midfield, if you're not the best goalie, if you're not the best attacker, you're out of the team. Yes, we can be families, but I'm a trainer, and I need to be either put you in the bench, or you're going to play the next game. And that's how we run the business. Is you need to be on top of priorities. You need to be always willing to help the other members of the team. And yes, I consider you part of my family. I'm always going to be there for you. I'm always going to, if you need to go to the doctor, if you need to have medical appointments, if your kids are sick, if you need to work from home, please do it. But trust is the most important fact of our operations, because if I cannot trust you, I cannot have you in my team. So that's those values, and we implement them into the work atmosphere.
Well, you did call yourself the Leo Messi of exporting, so I mean, if you got that high of a standard, then I'm sure your team has to be pretty strong. Junaid, I don't know if you wanted to tackle these last couple of questions before the end, or
I guess
we're
so.
wrapping up here in a moment.
One of them is a quick one. Attendee is asking whether you've tried the African market or not.
Yes, so we sell in the North African market. We also sell into the South, Kenya, South Africa, Tanzania, and we sell in Egypt. We sell into Morocco and Tunisia. So those are the markets that we sell in. The Central Africa is really hard. There's not a lot of technology there. There's not a lot of equipment. Optical instruments are not widely available. And patients will have to travel extremely far to see their medical doctors. Whenever we have tried to sell contact lenses in Central Africa, has been really hard, because we educate the doctor, we educate the actual market, but then the patient goes home and they wash their contact lenses with tap water. And in Africa or multiple emerging economies, there is a bacteria called acanthamoeba, and acanthamoeba can really eat your eye, and you can lose vision. So if that acanthamoeba sticks to the contact lens, the person, instead of contact lenses helping them, is going to be, I mean, they're going to lose their sight. So it's been really hard
Wow.
to do
Wow.
so.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Very interesting. One other, technically sounding question comes out to our attendee. He's wondering whether these contact lenses you're selling are like lentes de contacto rigidas. I don't know how well I'm pronouncing it.
Correct. Yes, they are.
They
So
are?
yeah, so we have rigid contact lenses. So what they ask is they're rigid contact lenses. We also have scleral lenses, which are really, really large contact lenses that position into the white portion of your eye, which is called the sclera, and that's why they're called scleral lenses. So we have every single kind of specialty contact lens, custom soft, Ortho-K, which is, listen to this. So this is an amazing technology. It was designed and developed by the NASA in the year 2000. The patient will wear the lens during the night, and what the lens does is puts a little bit of pressure into the cornea. The patient will take the lens every single morning. They will sleep with their lenses. They will take the lens out in the morning, and they see 20/20. So we have incredible technology made in the United States. And yes, those contact lenses, rigid contact lenses, are part of our portfolio.
Amazing. All right. Well, if I could inspire the crowd to give you a round of applause, I would. I don't know if there's a recording or something that we should do, but wanted to thank you so much, Felipe, for accepting our invitation to come and speak to the group. And hopefully the multiplier effect will be strong as well as we record this and distribute it.
There's, as in the last minutes, another question that we received, Felipe, is how do you evaluate affordability of your contact lens with other brands in the market?
That's one of the great questions that I got today. So we're not cheap. Our contact lenses are very expensive. But what I tell patients, what I tell doctors is, in any particular country, people pay $1,500 to $2,000 for an iPhone. How much value do you think sight is? If I can take one of your patients that the only vision they had was counting fingers, those are the patients that I see on a daily basis. What do they see? They cannot see anything. They cannot drive. They cannot go to school. Kids, 14 or 15-year-old kids that are bullied at school because they wear really thick glasses and they cannot see. They get kicked out of school because they cannot see the board. They cannot read books. People that have suffered from Steve Johnson syndrome, which is a syndrome that literally burns your eyes. And if I can have a contact lens made in the United States, and you can wake up and see, you can see your mother, you can see your kids. I've fitted contact lenses from the United States on mothers that have not been able to see their kids in 5 years. And when they put the contact lenses on, they start crying because they see their kids' faces. Moms that have not been able to get out of their homes or work, or people that have not been able to live a normal life like me and you. What is pricing worth? How much is your vision worth? Because when you lose it is when you actually think that vision and seeing life in colors was great. If I can tell you right now, Trevor, what would you prefer? If I cut both of your arms or if I take both of your eyes, what would you tell me?
I don't know. It'd be hard, but probably. It'd be
What
tough.
do you rather touch or see?
Yeah. I guess you could touch with your feet at a certain point, but yeah, I mean, not what you're talking about with not seeing your kids. That really resonates with me. I have 3 kids, including a 14-month-old. So, yeah, I mean, if you had to make me choose that,
have a kid that has not been able to function at school, and we put contact lenses made in the US or Europe, and you see your kid telling you, "Dad, I can see that I have hairs in my hands. Wow. They start touching their mom's faces and they see, I can see colors. I can see, I mean, we have specialty contact lenses for people that are colorblind, people that have not been able to see greens, reds, browns in years. And we give them the ability to see life in color again. How much is,
Amazing.
I mean, you're willing to pay an iPhone, a TV, a computer, anything that is not worth what it is really worth. I mean, this is made in China, designed in the United States. This probably cost $150 to manufacture, but we pay $2,000.
Yeah.
How much?
This has been fascinating, Felipe. This has been fascinating. Thank you very much for your openness in sharing the experience, for your suggestions, recommendations. Thank you, Trevor, for your great moderation, flow of questions, and your partnership going forward. Well, again, a big thank you to our team that's behind the scenes, Paula Huntley, Jamaica Villegas, and Michael Wallace from GSU-CIBER, who are actually doing the hard job of making all these things happen. And your inspiring story will be on YouTube, will be on our website with this recording. And we wish you all the success in your maneuvers going forward. And it was a great example of social entrepreneurship angle as well. Thank you very much. And thank you, everyone, for joining us.
Thanks, everybody.
Take care.
Really
Bye-bye,
appreciate
guys.
it.
Take care, everyone. See you in our next webinar.
Keep exporting.
All right.